This is a special edition of the Homeowners Show. We are live at Thistle Draft Shop.
Thistle Draft Shop.
Yeah, Craig and I are, we're trying something new, man. We've never done this before.
You've never done this before?
Well, not a live show like this. You've never done it before on the Homeowners Show either.
I've never done a podcast live.
Well, you've done a live other stuff. Not a podcast.
I tend to publicly embarrass myself on a consistent basis. I consider that a live show.
Well, that is a live show for you. That's like normal, just life for you, right?
Yeah. So right now, by the time this show comes out, I think it'll be like the day before Christmas almost, right?
Well, it'll be Christmas Day.
It'll be Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Christmas on Tuesday.
So all the presents get to be brought out of the hiding places and into the open.
From the hiding hole into the open. That's right. Yeah. So, are y'all done Christmas shopping?
We are completely finished.
What?
Yes. We Amazoned it up this year.
Oh, Amazon's awesome.
There was no foot traffic in the Williams home.
However, if you're going with Amazon, you got to make sure to have the Ring doorbell, right?
Absolutely. You don't want anybody thieving off the doorstep.
No. So we got a guest with us today. I know Facebook Live can't see our guest. This is Charles. Hello, Charles.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
We're good, man. Charles just here at Thistle hanging out, and so
what'd you have tonight?
I did a flight of 2 really sour beers and then 2 blondes that I was not a fan of.
Okay.
And I went with the safer option, which is more of a lager. So.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't complain.
Is it going so good so far there?
So far, so good.
Yeah,
I've only sipped it. So.
Which one is that? Do you remember?
Great something. I don't know. Something great something. It's somewhere in there.
Okay.
Somewhere it's great.
We were going to give them a little press, but they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
I think it's Great Island, maybe.
Great Island.
Maybe they just need to catch your name.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so.
So do you have any good Christmas hiding spots in your house?
Okay, so
you hide presents from your kids? Do you hide presents from your wife?
I do.
You can tell us that now because she's going to be here in 30 minutes, and she won't find out until the day after.
She's going to be here. Yeah, she doesn't listen to our podcast. Anyway, well, I can't even tell you because if she does go back and look, then she'll know. If she does come back and listen, then she'll know.
You want to keep these hiding places.
Yeah, that's why it's called a hiding place. Yeah, so, see, the cool thing about
you have separate hiding places from your kids and your wife?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, mainly.
So just give me the kid ones.
Well, so the problem with where our hiding place is it is in my wife's closet. So my wife and I have separate closets, his and hers type deal, and there's a lot of places up high that we can put stuff. And my kids are young. I've got a 4 and a 6-year-old, almost 4. He'll be 4 on Christmas Eve, actually.
Probably like hide them underneath their bed and they'd never know.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So they're not super creative places. That's just where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about y'all?
We have like this. My oldest calls it the Harry Potter closet because it's like one of those underneath the staircase.
Oh yeah.
That I don't know if she's like afraid that we're gonna lock her in there, or that's what she calls it.
Okay.
And that tends to be the best spot because no one ever really tries to get in there, and it's like in a closet in a closet.
A closet in a closet.
And so it's kind of scary for the kids to go in there.
So they're not going in there.
No. Because we just tell them there's a giant spider. And I probably got a few more years before that lie wears off.
Yeah, they're going to figure that out, aren't they?
Yeah, although I will tell you, like the house that my parents live in, when we first moved into that, which was a long time ago now, we went up in the attic, and apparently this was a thing that like people used to pull the insulation up and hide presents underneath the insulation, because like I guess their kids were like really sneaky and suspicious and would always go hunting for the presents.
Okay.
And so like they would peel the insulation up and stick the toys underneath. And so when we moved in, I forget what we were doing. We were pulling some insulation up at one point, and we found toys that they'd forgotten about from like 1974.
What?
And one of them that I still have, I've been waiting for like the right moment to sell it. It's in the packaging, a die-cast land speeder from Episode 4 of Star Wars.
Oh my goodness.
And so like, yeah,
Probably worth like $4 or $5 at least.
it's something. It's in the neighborhood. Yeah. So, but anyway, we've got Charles sitting down with us, who has graciously agreed to sit down and have a drink with us and talk about some home improvement stuff. But we are super honored because this guy is serving in the reserves at the Coast Guard right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so you're stationed where?
So my current unit is in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I'm in a Coast Guard port security unit. So the Coast Guard is basically divided into several different groups, right?
Yeah.
Some of the groups do search and rescue, and you've got the guys who jump out of helicopters. You've got the guys who do boat-type search and rescue work.
Yeah.
And then you've got you'll have the guys that do like drug and migrant interdiction. And then you've got people who do like maritime spill cleanup and stuff like that, right? So that's more of like a safety-related issue. And then our unit specifically, we do military defense security zones. So we'll go out to an area where there's like a Navy ship or something tied up somewhere.
Yeah.
Typically, we'll go overseas and we'll defend the Navy ships whenever they come in and out. Or
Okay.
we'll go to like an offshore oil rig. Our unit, I didn't go, but our unit has been out to Kuwait before. They've been to Bahrain before.
Wow.
They've been to
Here, pull that thing right out in front of you just a little bit.
Sure.
So we, yeah. So we'll hear you better.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, so they've been all over the place, and we're expected to go somewhere in the next couple of months.
Okay. So are you out on the water quite a bit?
Yeah, so basically what my job is, I am how do I put it? So it's like a defensive boat captain. Basically, our small boats, we have 32-foot boats, and I'm a tactical assault driver. Basically, I drive a boat that has a 50 caliber machine gun on the bow, and then it's got two 240s, which are like that's the improved version of the M60. It shoots the same round, basically. So basically what we do is we provide waterborne and airborne defense resources to the Navy whenever they go out and they need protection.
So as they're leaving harbor, you guys kind of protect them as they're going out wherever they're heading?
Yeah, that's part of it. Or whenever they're stuck in harbor and they're waiting to take on fuel or food or whatever they happen to be doing.
Yeah.
Then we'll hang out and we'll set up a defensive perimeter and make sure that they're kept safe.
So how far out do you guys have to go with them?
Traditionally, because we are the Coast Guard and we are in small boats, we're not in ships.
Right.
So we do have ships that go all over the world, but that's not what our unit does. So because we are a port security unit, we generally don't get much further than a couple of miles away from the port.
Okay. And is that kind of like the agreed upon neutral area?
There are, without getting into like too many of the specifics,
Sure.
specifically like laid out nautical mile ranges. So they'll say like, within 3 miles that means one thing, within 6 miles that means something else, within 15 miles, 26, whatever the case
So
is.
the rules change.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Wow, so y'all are like, y'all are the guys that protect the Navy.
Yeah. So basically, the way it is, and depending on what Navy people you ask, they'll just be like, oh, well, whenever it benefits the Navy, the Coast Guard becomes the Navy.
Okay. That's what the Army says about the Marines, too, so.
I wouldn't know.
I don't know about that.
Hey, we're not dogging on any of these
That's
guys.
right.
We love all of these guys. We're not dogging on them, but it is interesting to hear kind of the nuances of how each division of the military works with the other divisions, because I had no idea that the Coast Guard works closely with the Navy.
So, I think really what the Coast Guard does, their strongest element really is that it is the small boat tactics, the small boat maneuvers. The Navy, obviously, they're the ones who have the larger ships, and they are very obvious professionals and experts in large ship movements and tactics and strategies. And the Coast Guard, we have a much smaller platform, and we're experts at it. So.
Okay, cool.
How long have you been doing this now?
So I've been in the Coast Guard, joined in September of 2000, and
Wow.
I graduated locally. I graduated from high school here in Houston,
Okay.
and then I left and I joined the Coast Guard, and actually I just got back here in Houston probably about 6 months ago.
Okay.
So I've been out. I've lived or worked in Cuba. I went to California, Miami, New York, Michigan, all over the East Coast, basically all over the place.
Okay. And do they deploy you where they want you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, typically with about 76 hours notice. You know.
That's not very much.
Yeah.
Well, so tell us, when we were talking before, I mean, you mentioned you've done some home improvement stuff. What's some stuff that you've tackled around the house?
So, I used to have a house in Pennsylvania, and it was a bit too much house for myself
And my ex-wife at the time. And one of the things we wanted to do is finish off it was like a walk-up attic.
Okay.
And whenever we initially moved into the house, the attic was totally bare. You know, it looked like regular bare frame.
How old was this house?
relatively young. I think maybe 2006.
Okay, so pretty new.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It definitely was not an old house. So my thought is to put in insulation, finish off everything, put in fiberglass, and then also do a false wall along the outsides that you could slide out and use for storage. And those parts where the apex really goes down and sort of that angle becomes too acute and people can't put anything else.
Becomes useless space, basically. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So probably a pretty good spot for like Christmas gifts or something similar, right? So basically, I did the job sort of amateurishly because I didn't really know what I was doing. I got some books. I looked at a whole bunch of YouTube videos and tried to figure things out myself.
There you go.
And kind of a funny part of doing the job, I tried to get away with cutting a corner. And I was like, oh, cool, I have all this insulation. I had more than enough insulation, so everything was going to be great, right? So I looked at this part where the wood up, towards the ceiling started to get a little bit thin, and I thought, well, I don't really have to put insulation here. It's only like 6 inches wide, so I'm just going to skip it. And it's towards the end of the wall where the ceiling met like the far end of the wall.
Yeah.
And I put insulation everywhere else as best I could. I worked with my ex-brother-in-law, and we did all the fiberglass, painting, and everything. And then on that part of the wall, which is where my desk was in the attic, I basically froze to death every single year because there was no insulation. And it was horrible, it was like that instant karma sort of delayed, I guess.
So was that like a project you started in the summertime, and it's like, it's never really going to get cold up here?
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
But you're in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Oh, it was cold.
It gets cold.
Yeah, it was horrible.
It's not like Houston.
It was horrible. I did not make it through. No, absolutely not.
I mean, because more than likely, just a little bit more insulation was not going to cost you a ton of money, but it was just a matter of what it was going to take to go get it and still just finish out the project. You're probably ready to be done at that point, right?
Yeah, it was definitely laziness. I looked at it and I was like, okay, I'm at this point where I think I finished everything I want to finish. So I could either start to work on some of those final steps, or I could do a little bit more. And I was thinking in my head, I tried to weigh the pros and the cons, and that system did not work well for me. So
Your weighting system was off.
yeah, it was not good.
So was it something that just went unfinished? You just never went back through it? Yeah.
Yeah, so
You sold
sorry
that?
for the next person who bought the house. I apologize.
Yeah.
Mind the attic. It's a little drafty.
Yeah, careful up there. So, do you consider yourself? You're up there doing that project. I mean, most of the time when guys like us, we're not professional builders.
When he says guys like us, he means Kevin.
Okay.
Yeah, me specifically me. How advanced do you feel you were in some of these projects? Do you feel like you kind of knew what you were doing, or you really knew what you're doing, or maybe somewhere in between?
He had YouTube, man. He was an expert.
But yeah, YouTube gets you anything.
Yeah, it does give you a little false sense of security, I think. I would definitely agree with that. I would look at something and say, well, I can do this. I can make the molding look like this, or I can get everything just right. And then whenever I would actually attempt it, I would notice that, I don't know, I've got like a whole history of trying to build like rolling cabinets and stuff.
Okay.
And they would look like something from, I don't know, like the Beetlejuice movie where everything is like topsy-turvy and
All the fun angles. So was the attic probably like the most ambitious thing you tried up until that point?
So, in all fairness, I wasn't the only person working on it. My brother-in-law at the time, he was very, very skilled. And I think that he gave me projects and he was like, all right, you probably can't screw this up too bad. And then I met his challenge and succeeded. And I screwed it up way worse than he thought I could. Yeah.
Oh, let me show you how bad I can screw this up.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah?
Hold my beer.
Yeah. Watch this. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, well, what about anything else? I mean, have you done any other projects or maybe even have other people come in and do some projects for you? Either one?
So, yeah, there was actually, I bought a sailboat.
Nice.
Anybody who knows anything about boats, I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's a small boat or a large boat. This boat was far too large for me.
How big are we talking here?
28 feet. It was about 6 tons, right?
That's a good sized boat, man.
Sailboat. It was past the point where I could tow it myself. If I wanted to move it somewhere, I had to get a rig, and I had to pay a moving company to come in and have somebody bring it across.
Was this ocean or freshwater?
Ocean.
Okay.
Yeah, it was at the furthest tip of Long Island, New York, and I went in totally overzealous. And unfortunately, this was pretty recently. This was not long enough ago where I can be like, oh, I was young and dumb. And I went in and I was thinking, I've been in the Coast Guard for 14 years. Like,
You know what you're doing.
I know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I was in way over my head.
Oh, man.
I know nothing about sailing. So
I'm rather efficient at wrecking sailboats. I've done that
sorry?
once. I'm rather efficient at wrecking sailboats.
Oh, terrific. That's
I've done-
horrible.
Yeah. No, I've done that once. It was
Oh, my God.
terrifying.
I bet it was.
So sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine.
I can connect. We're good. Go ahead.
Well, so yeah, the whole story is I didn't even know how to sail, and then I went out on like the maiden voyage of the sailboat, and we had a Sailing for Dummies book. I had
Were you like reading it as you were going out on the water?
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Yes.
So are we talking like mainsail and jib? Is that
No, it was just a singular. We had one singular mast.
okay?
That's it. So I was thinking this is going to be relatively easy. I
Right.
watched some videos on YouTube again, so of course I like to liken my knowledge to that of a doctorate, of course, in YouTube watched videos, right? So it was pretty ridiculous. I was totally underprepared, and I brought out 2 of my other Coast Guard buddies with me, and it worked out well only because of teamwork and good communication and some other stuff that we had there. Yeah, but basically that boat, I rewired things. I did a whole bunch of engine work. I did fiberglass work. Like there's
wow.
so much upkeep.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any of it. So you basically just look at books and YouTube videos and all these other places. And
I take it you don't still own the boat.
no, sir, absolutely not. So it's funny, actually. The boat cost me, I think it was $1,500.
Okay.
That's what the cost was up front. The cost with a tow and damage and hardship, that would basically be unquantifiable. But if I was going to put a price tag to it, it would be somewhere around the amount of about $14,000.
Oh,
probably.
Man.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
it did not work out well for me.
No, it doesn't sound like it. But I think that there's plenty of money pits out there, right?
Of course,
I mean, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
I watch some of these these homeowner shows, the DIY stuff on.
Not like this one.
No, the good ones. And I watch them on HGTV or whatever, and they get into this stuff, and somehow they turn a profit on these just absolute dumps. But they've got like a professional crew that comes in here and works with them, and they're like, oh, we finished this in an hour. No, that took you 60 days, and you had a professional crew around you the whole time. That would have taken me 60 years, probably.
Yeah.
And it would not have turned a profit.
Right.
But I do sympathize with you whenever you're saying, this like, I kind of know what I'm doing. I've got some ambition behind me. I've got a little bit of skill, and I know how to find YouTube. So with those 3 things at my side, I know that I can do something, and sometimes it works out, and other times not so much.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No. So you unloaded it.
Yeah, so basically it was a long process. I ended up donating it to
Oh, okay.
boatangel.com. So it's a Christian charity. I was looking to find any way I could to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So they gave you a nice write-off for it.
And yeah, it's goodness gracious, there was so much anxiety attached to that sailboat because afterwards I was like, okay, so now it's going to take me all this time. I'm going to have to do all this work, and between sanding and then having the hull redone and then having everything and doing all the wiring myself, like I don't know that much about electronics, right? So that doesn't mean I'm going to shy away from it. I'm going to still give it the old college try, but yeah, it was a massive undertaking.
Man.
No joke.
Good grief.
Man, I don't even know how to talk about that. I don't know anything about boats.
I know how to wreck them.
Yeah, obviously. Is there a story there? Are you going to tell it, or are you just
No, I'm not going to tell that at all.
Okay.
There's litigation still pending.
I would say the only thing that I can imagine, right? So, and I'm just gauging from my previous sort of anxiety level, is imagine somebody who thinks, yeah, I can knock this wall out. I'm going to open this room up and have like this really amazing open feel, and then they hit something that turns out to be a stud, and there's wires attached to it, and then there's this massive, horrible issue where they've destroyed all the wiring, taken out a stud, and ruined the wall all at once, and then they're like, clearly somebody should not have trusted me with this hammer. I don't know what people were thinking letting me even buy a house.
Yeah. And those are the times where they call the homeowner and they're like, this is going to cost you $6,000. And I'm the one that told you to do it.
Yeah.
So,
I told you there's going to be no problem.
I told you there'd be no problems, and suddenly it's a big problem.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had a house in Pennsylvania.
Yes, sir.
And then did you have a house like in New York or any of these other places that you've been stationed?
So, no, I basically rented. I had a house in Pennsylvania. My current wife and I had a house in Pennsylvania right now.
Okay.
And that house needs some love. But it's I know better than to do it myself at this point. Right. So
what would you say is like the biggest difference? Because I mean, Pennsylvania is, I guess, is technically the Northeast. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Yeah, I mean, it gets to 10 degrees below zero. So yeah, I would definitely say it's Northeast. Yeah.
Places my wife says that we can never live. So so what would you say is like the biggest difference between houses there versus houses here? You kind of have a unique perspective there.
You know, it's unusual because there are a couple of things I can point out in terms of differences. It seems like whenever people paint a house in the Northeast, they don't work on stripping down the old paint and sort of starting off and, making sure the wall's prepared or anything.
Yeah.
They just take and they'll sand it real quick and then slap down new paint on it. And I think that the idea is we want to make sure that we have as much insulation as humanly possible.
That makes sense, yeah.
You can go into even a very nice house that's really kept up well, and you can easily tell that there are layers upon layers upon layers of paint, probably 20 years of paint just stacked. And if you were to cut it off with a knife, you'd be able to count, kind of like on a tree.
Like a tree,
Years of like, oh, this was painted once in '76. I mean, yeah.
All right, so is the outside composition, is it typically wood, brick, stone? What are we talking about? What's yours, I guess?
They were predominantly wood, yeah. They were all stick-built houses.
Okay.
We did see a couple of log cabins where we were. We were up in the Pocono Mountain Range area, so we had people from New York and New Jersey come and move out there, thinking, "Oh, great! I'm going to be able to shoot guns in my backyard and feed all the deer I want and everything else." And for the rest of us that lived there year round, it was a little bit daunting because the backyards were only like a quarter mile to a half mile. So if people are shooting guns and you see leaves blowing by your head, like, okay, somebody needs to rethink where they're shooting guns, please.
Yes.
But I'd say that in terms of the way that the houses are constructed, they're constructed about the same way, from what I can tell. And I'm not a professional, so.
Are there no big basements in Pennsylvania? Is that like a big?
There are basements.
There are basements.
So that is a big deal. Yeah, they definitely have basements, and I'd say almost every house has either a basement or a crawl space.
Okay.
And the crawl space will have things like some plumbing and other stuff in it, stuff that may be considered an eyesore, or you just don't want to put it anywhere else in the house.
Do you find a lot of like 2- and 3-story homes, like that they're just built up rather than more land mass?
So I would say that the average home there, from what I could see, was 1 story with a full basement. That would be kind of an average thing. So we would take that as a 1 story here. It's like, okay, that's a 1 story, but there it's almost like you need the extra space. And I don't know, maybe there was some sort of psychological necessity to having that basement also. Like, if you're going to have cabin fever and you can't leave your house for a week, why not have the extra floor that you probably need before you go crazy?
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, so you've done quite a few things yourself. I mean, I think a lot of us that feel like we've got any type of skill or brains decide at some point we can probably tackle this. But I heard you say that this new house that you own, you're maybe you still need some work, but you're having other people do the work. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So I learned from my mistakes eventually, right? So there are certain things that I know that I can do myself, and that's sort of easy work. Like I poured concrete for a new step whenever the old one split, and I didn't even have to watch a YouTube video. I literally got concrete right from one of those building stores, and I read the back of it like, oh look, if I'm going to make a step, it says step 1 is do this, step 2 is do this. Poured this here, flattened it out, and it came out pretty good. It looks probably a little bit better than the step that was originally there. So
perfect. Yeah. So what is your process? We've talked about this a little bit on our show. Is that there's a little bit of a daunting task to finding professionals to work on your house. I mean, you drive by the local heating and air conditioning store that you see, and you don't know anything about them. You see a paint, and you see someone else painting someone else's house, and you're like, oh, they obviously trusted those people to paint their house.
Right.
So, do you have any type of a system that you do in your research, or do you have a group of friends that you talk to? How do you go about finding the right person to do some of this work for you?
So I know that we looked quite a bit. We would go into sites like Yelp and do like a Google search and some other stuff to try to see what we could do in terms of just locating some companies who would be able to do it. And I don't think that there's ever a shortage of companies who will do it or individuals who will do it.
Right.
But there does seem to be a shortage in the area of individuals that are trustworthy, that you want them to be able to do it right. I certainly hope that if I'm paying money to someone, then they're going to do a better job than I can do myself.
Yeah.
So if I see things are going to go off on that path, then I'll probably look and be like, look, I don't think this is going to work out, man, because I can do a better job than you, and I'm not even doing this task. Like, I'm not a professional in this. So I would say that primarily, especially in that area, it seems like it's a word of mouth thing. And I think here, my wife and I use the Nextdoor application on the phone, so a lot of people will sort of vouch for other companies, and that seems to work really, really well.
Have you used that?
Yeah, quite a bit.
What have you used that to find?
We used it for a mechanic shop,
Okay.
and it didn't work out super well, but I felt more confident going into it because so many people had vouched for the mechanic shop right off the bat. So I don't know, maybe matters would have been worse going elsewhere. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think one of the ways that I've thought about trying to find people, because I've been in your situation too, don't really know who to talk to. I think it's always good to find out if they're bonded, right?
Sure.
Because if they're bonded, then you know that at least if something goes south, that they've got some insurance, right?
Sure.
Licensing, obviously we want them to be licensed, but the bonded issue, I think, is another deal that's really important.
Absolutely.
That's my 2 cents. That's all I got.
It's also because Kevin's kind of a litigious guy.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly.
Are there any other tools that you've used other than Nextdoor? Like, you ever tried like Angie's List or something like that?
So, not in terms of regular tools other than just doing Google searches, but I'm definitely the kind of guy where if I get really good work done and I have like 100% amazing service, then I'll sing about it and I'll basically go on the same sites. I'll go on Yelp, I'll go on whoever, Better Business Bureau, I'll go wherever I can.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure that we sort of, we get the word out that a company did something right by us.
Nice.
So,
yeah.
I think reviews are great.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, that's how I use them. Usually find out a lot of information. Reviews.
Right.
They're great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Sorry, I couldn't hear all of us
was just saying that the reviews are super helpful.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of try to shy away from the 5-star reviews, and I kind of shy away from the 1-star reviews because obviously they're a little skewed. But like those 4-star reviews, that's where it's
That's your
at.
sweet spot?
That's my sweet spot. I want to know what the 4-star review says.
I feel like that's how your wife picked you out.
No, she was aiming low. She was aiming low, and I was.
Those are the two-star reviews. Is that the?
Yeah. I was at the top of my game, and she was aiming low that night. And when we met, and well, it's worked out for almost 14 years.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyway,
Charles, you've been super gracious with your time. Is there anything else you want to tell people about, or?
I guess not. No, yeah, thank you very much for having me on.
Dude, this has been an honor.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so our show is called The Homeowner Show. And in fact, there's a sticker right there if you want to take it, if you're interested.
1 or 12?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Depends on how many you're going to put on your car, man.
Awesome.
Go check us out on.
We'll take two.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Go check us out on iTunes or.
We're gonna do the final four with Charles here.
Oh yeah, we should.
Absolutely, I want to know.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have 4 questions that we ask all of our guests.
Okay.
And Kevin asks them because he's the only one that can remember.
Yeah. We were talking about it before the show. He's like, "What are they again?" He never remembers. Okay, so the first question is, what is the must-have tool that you won't leave the house without?
So I'd say just about every day, even if I'm not carrying it on me, right? So I went and worked out today, so I'm not going to have it on me right now. But it's definitely in the car. I carry a little multi-tool.
Oh yeah.
So I was issued one back in 2001 as part of my Coast Guard boat crew qualification package, and they basically said, "Don't ever lose this. You'll use it a million times and whatever." So I lost that one promptly. I bought a new one, and I lost that one and bought several 20 along the lines.
Yeah.
So once I lose it, I continue to buy new ones because of how valuable they are to me. So
Okay.
yeah, you never know when you're going to need pliers or Phillips or regular screwdriver or whatever.
So are you like a Leatherman guy, or is there like a particular brand you use?
You know what? Honestly, it doesn't work unless. Okay, no, it doesn't. if the item doesn't work, whenever I grab something with it and say if I put some force behind it and I twist it and anything on it bends, I'll throw it out and get something totally different. So it doesn't have to be a Leatherman. It doesn't have to be any name brand. I've seen them at Walmart that were good. I've seen them at other stores that may or may not be good.
Yeah.
And I've also been very disappointed in stuff that I've purchased from some stores that I paid a lot of money for.
Sure.
So. Yeah, it just kind of depends on how it works out.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Our second question is, so what's a job that you've walked away from? Not necessarily a professional career, as much as maybe you've got a homeowner. I mean, you've done other things. This may be your boat. I don't know. But just a job that you decided to take on that you said, I'm done with this. I gotta walk away.
So I would say. Hey, it's definitely the boat.
Yeah.
Definitely the boat.
Yeah.
At one point, I was messing around with the electrical work, and I saw a spark and an immediate flame, and I was like, okay, I'm in my own head. I gotta check out this bad boy right now.
This is not worth my life. Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the third question is, what's one of the best pieces of wisdom or advice that you've ever received?
So, I was thinking about this one. I think about this pretty often. I'm a supervisor now in the Coast Guard. I'm a chief in the Coast Guard, and whenever people come to me and they present a problem, I'm immediately frustrated when there's no suggested solution. If somebody comes and they say, "Hey, we've got this big problem. I don't know what to do. Please, God, help me out," and I'm just thinking to myself, okay, first of all, you need to chill out a little bit because you're stressing me out with the way that you're stressing out. And I'm like, try to think of 2 suggestions to how to resolve it and bring them back to me. Because I can't try to solve everybody's problems myself, right? So, I had a supervisor once tell me, never bring a problem to anyone else, whether it's a friend or a family member or a boss or anyone, without bringing up 2 suggested
Solutions.
resolutions.
Yeah.
And the idea is basically that even if they're both terrible, at least you attempted to find a fix for it. And I mean, and I've had had some really terrible solutions and had a supervisor be like, okay, well, you know what? I think you're an idiot, so I'm not going to ask you that
At
question
least
anymore.
you tried.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right, but I'd rather him just be like, I think you're an idiot, as opposed to, well, what do you want me to do about it? You know, and have somebody like really like roaring.
Yeah, because that just elevates the stress level of the situation. Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so the last question is, how do you wind down after a long day?
I like to try to go as stagnant as I possibly can.
Okay.
Right. So I play video games a lot in my off time. I have to work out for the job, and then for my regular civilian job, I do some physical activity here and there. And sometimes at the end of the day, between that and the sort of mental stress of the job, I like to do something where I don't have to think about a lot about it. So my wife and I will open up a glass of wine or beer, and we'll share it. She's actually more of a whiskey girl herself. I'm not. We'll open up a cigar, light it up, and we'll just hang out and chat. Or we'll break out a glass of wine and put on Grand Theft Auto or some other video game, and we'll take turns, trying to see how many
long you
people
can
we
survive.
can blow up or something. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
We'll do
awesome.
something to totally check out of reality for a minute.
Yeah. That's
I think it's
fantastic.
important.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very important.
I love it.
Well, cool. Thanks for your time.
Hey, thank you very much.
Fantastic, man.
Tell your friends about the show.
certainly
And this
will.
is going to go up on Christmas Day, so go check it out. You'll be live.
Awesome.
Or we're live now.
We're live now.
So you'll be available.
You'll be mixed and mastered and sounding beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Well, cool. Well, thanks for your time.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Charles.
I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one.